The meaning of life is whatever the editors tell us it is. Because if I wrote a story saying, well, the meaning of life is this, the editor might say, nah, it's not really that. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday edition of Fair Territory. Man, do we have a lot to discuss this week. We're getting into the part of the season where the topics get a little meatier. We're going to talk about the Red Sox first base situation. We're going to talk about the Texas Rangers and all that is going on with that club. And we're going to talk about the hottest team in the American League, the Detroit Tigers. And I'm also going to do the inside dish on my new favorite player. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, the lead. And let's start today with the Texas Rangers because they were in the news pretty much all weekend. So last week, you might remember Chris Young of the Texas Rangers, their general manager, told Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News, this was, I believe, Tuesday. He said about his offense, I'm getting edgy and rightfully so. It was almost as if that was a warning shot the way things played out. What happened? On Thursday, the Rangers demoted Jake Burger to the minor leagues. Actually, the news came out Thursday. The move happened Friday. And then on Sunday, two major things that happened with the Rangers. One, they dismissed their hitting coordinator, Donnie Ecker, who's part of their 2023 championship run. And they placed their center fielder, or actually reserve center fielder at this point, Leody Taveras, on outright waivers. So two people who contributed to the 2023 championship effectively could be gone. Ecker already is gone. Taveras, it remains to be seen what's going to happen with him. Outright waivers, the way they work for a player with Taveras' service time. He has 3+ years of service. It's like this. If he gets claimed, the team that claims him assumes the balance of his $4.75 million salary. Not sure that's going to happen. More likely, in my opinion, he doesn't get claimed. And then what happens is he can elect free agent, forfeit the rest of his salary, or the more likely scenario, he goes to the minor leagues and is off the 40-man roster. And what the Rangers might be doing here is trying to create room on the 40-man for someone else. Or they're thinking about promoting Evan Carter, who has been in the minor leagues. He has been a big player for them also in the past. The Rangers are an incredibly disappointing team offensively for reasons that are kind of perplexing. They added Berger and Jock Peterson in the offseason, and you thought, wow, okay, they're going to get back to where they were in 23. And yet, entering Sunday's game, when they finally erupted against the Seattle Mariners, the Rangers were 30th in the league in runs per game. They crept up to 29th after that little eruption. So you can understand why they're frustrated, why the GM, Chris Young, is taking action. But that said, as I believe Trisha and I spoke about on Thursday, Chris Young's actions here, being public and then doing these things, are a little bit unusual in today's game. In today's game, teams generally are more methodical, more deliberate, trying to remove emotion from the equation, being efficient, and all these great words. It's pretty rare when you see kind of an emotional reaction, and that's what we've seen. Is it warranted? Absolutely, it's warranted. But again, it is a little bit unusual in this day and age. All right, that's Texas. The Boston Red Sox. On Friday, they suffered a terrible blow, the loss of Triston Casas, their first baseman, to season-ending surgery when he ruptured his patella tendon in his knee. Obviously, if you saw the video, it was a really tough injury to watch. Tough news for Casas, a guy who's trying to establish himself still as a quality major leaguer. He has definitely shown flashes, but he's not there yet, and now he's out for the season. So the question becomes for the Red Sox, a team that is kind of middling along here. They're 18-18. Their bullpen's been an issue. The question becomes, what do they do at first base? And there is no easy answer here because they don't really have a plan in place for a catastrophic injury like this. They have Romy Gonzalez as their backup first baseman. He's going to be part of what they do, at least initially, short term. They've got Abraham Toro to alternate with Gonzalez. He's a switch hitter who can maybe do some things, but he's basically a fringe major leaguer. So the question then is, okay, where do they go from here? Do they stick with those guys? Do they go to the outside? Do they try to do something internally? A lot of people thought, well, Rafael Devers, that's the perfect place. Yes, but learning first base is not an easy thing to do. You can't just put a guy over there and expect that all of a sudden he's going to be able to handle the footwork, the cutoffs, the relays, the pickoffs, all of the different things that go into playing first base. I actually asked Kike Hernandez about this recently because he's been playing some first for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he said something that I did not realize, that at first base, you have to move a lot more than in other positions too. When a guy is on, you're bouncing off the bag, coming back. So it can be a little bit challenging physically, or at least more challenging than certain other positions in a way that you wouldn't expect. And then people ask with the Red Sox, okay, what about their two big prospects, Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer? Why not put one of them at first base? Same problem. Neither one is a first baseman. Anthony's an outfielder. Meyer's an infielder, but a middle infielder. And you just don't do that to a top prospect in the middle of a season. It's kind of a wacko idea, to be perfectly honest. Now, if you remember last year when Casas got hurt, the Red Sox picked up Garrett Cooper at one point, Dominic Smith at another, and they kind of patched it together that way. Those guys presumably are still available. Dominic Smith is in the Yankee system right now. Garrett Cooper is in the Atlanta system, and I assume they have opt-outs in their contracts. So if the Red Sox wanted to go get one of them, they could. And I'll give you another name too. This guy's not playing, but he's out there, Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo remains a free agent. I am quite certain it would take him time to get into shape, but again, this is a season-ending injury to Casas, and who knows, maybe the Red Sox would want to take a shot along those lines. As we've discussed with Rizzo, with Lance Lynn when he retired, with JD Martinez, David Robertson, these are veterans who want to play for a certain price. So who knows if the Red Sox would be willing to meet Rizzo's price, and who knows if he'd be willing to play at this point. But it's certainly something that maybe they will explore. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. So that's the Red Sox. We'll be back after a quick word from our friends at Foul Territory.
Trevor, I need caffeine every day. And for me, it's cold, not hot. So I go cold brew. I've been a Trade coffee customer for a long time now. I don't want to go to the grocery store and get the concentrate. Can you deliver me the kit, please?
Absolutely. Trade can do that for you. Who wants to get the concentrate at the store anyways? You don't even know when that stuff was made, when you can just set it, forget it at home, and have more cold brew coffee than you can ever hope for. I love doing that. It's a fun little activity also, and Trade allows you to do it.
Yes, they hook you up with the best beans specifically for cold brew from top roasters across the U.S. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. For a limited time, they're giving away a free Harry-O cold brewer when you sign up for a cold brew subscription when you go to drinktrade.com/foul. That's drinktrade.com/foul to get your free cold brew maker with select cold brew subscriptions. That's drinktrade.com/foul.
Finally, the hottest team in the American League, a team that is suddenly hitting almost as well as it's pitching, and that's the Detroit Tigers. Now, the question with the Tigers coming into the season was, could they find an offense? Now, I don't want to get too excited about the weekend in which they scored 34 runs in 4 games against the Los Angeles Angels, who are struggling. But the Tigers have done some impressive things offensively. Right now, they have 7 players, 7, with OPSs over 800. I'm talking about Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, Javi Baez, Gleyber Torres, Riley Green, Dylan Dingler, and Zach McKinstry, all over 800. And when you look at the Tigers' injured list, there are still a number of offensive players on there. Manuel Margot, Parker Meadows, Matt Vierling, Wenzel Perez, Jake Rogers. These are guys who aren't there right now, and they're still doing all this. Obviously, Torkelson's resurgence is a big part of what they're doing. Riley Green is a star in the making. Javi Baez, it's impressive what he has done here, being willing to be a super utility guy, bounce all over the field, and finally he is contributing again. Is it worth the 6 years, 140? No, not yet, but maybe it will be if he gets them ultimately to a playoff and championship scenario. I want to show you something about the Tigers that is a little bit different, at least in terms of what they're doing right now. And it shows in part why they've been so successful. I want to look at their ERA and I want to look at their runs per game, because the Tigers are the only team right now in the top 5 in both categories. So let's take a look. We'll start with runs per game. The Cubs leading the majors in runs per game, obviously. They're almost at 6 per game. Yankees at 5.5 per game. That's a surprise, right? No Juan Soto. They're still doing it. The Dodgers, 5.35. The Diamondbacks, 5.18. And there are the Tigers, 5.11, ranking 5th in the majors in runs per game. Again, that would qualify as a surprise. ERA, this was not a surprise or is not a surprise. We all knew the Tigers had a dynamic rotation and a terrific bullpen. That is holding true again in 2025, just as it did in 2024. You see the Padres there at 2.75, the Mets following at 2.87, then the Tigers, 2.96, the Royals, and the Astros. So the Tigers right now look really good. Can they sustain this? I sort of think they can. Can they be a team we see in the American League Championship Series? I sort of think the answer to that is yes. The Detroit Tigers, not a surprise team necessarily, because they were a playoff team last year with that amazing run in the last 2 months, but they're a team to watch out for. They're a team that is perhaps better than we expected. For more on Detroit's dominant stretch, Cody Stavenhagen, my colleague from The Athletic, Kieran Steckley, and Austin Jackson host Tiger Territory. Tiger Territory drops multiple episodes each week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, share, and rate 5 stars to the entire Foul Territory network. Time now for the Inside Dish, the part of the show where I talk about maybe a story I've written, a trend in the game, something else entirely. And today I want to talk about the guy I teased at the top of the show, my new favorite player, and he's Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, going back to spring training, I went to the Tampa Bay Rays camp to see Chandler Simpson and to talk to people about him. I was intrigued by a tweet I had seen about a diving catch he had made, and somebody said, this guy is incredibly fast. I had not heard of him. Full disclosure, I had not heard of him at that point, but it was intriguing to me after I read up on him that this player could be rather interesting. A guy who makes contact like Luis Ariz, steals bases like Billy Hamilton, and had the potential to play center field like Byron Buxton. So I went to Rays camp, and I must say, I have a great day every day in my career. Every day I'm lucky to be working in this job, and every day I have fun or find something new and interesting. But that day was one of the most fun days I can remember, because that day, as I walked around the backfield at the Rays complex in Port Charlotte, Florida, I just encountered an excitement about a player that I had not witnessed too many times in my career. I talked to all kinds of Rays people about Chandler Simpson, and they were all thinking, we've got something here. And I could tell with the Rays, it was like, we've got a new toy. And you know the Rays, they're the team that gave us the opener and so many other innovations. So that day, Kevin Cash told me at every level, people have scratched their heads about this guy. Is this going to work? Is this going to play? It will play and then some. That is what Cash said. And he's referring to the fact that Simpson is a guy who's incredibly fast and can get on base and makes incredible contact, but has almost no power. That has been the knock on him. I talked to the Rangers outfield and base running coordinator, Jared Sandberg, and Jared told me that Chandler Simpson had the best drive, work ethic, and determination of any player in the Rays organization. That's what he said. And then their Double-A manager, Kevin Bowles, he addressed the issue with the fact that so many people were critical of Simpson's potential as a major league player. He said, I've never seen a player so undervalued by the industry. Anyway, the story was a lot of fun to write. I spoke to Chandler Simpson as well. Great kid, nice guy. And I asked him about being the fastest man in baseball. At the time, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was in a debate about whether he was faster than Bobby Witt Jr., something like that. And he just looked at me and said, I'm faster than all those guys. So fast forward to now. Chandler Simpson is in the major leagues. He joined the Rays about 2 weeks ago. They're 9-6 with him on their club. They're playing better than they did without him, even though they've had some good outfield contributions. He's in center field. He is making things happen. And if you were paying attention to yesterday's Yankees-Rays game, you saw 2 plays which demonstrated how dynamic and damaging to an opponent this player can be. Let's look at them back to back. The first one is Chandler Simpson scoring from second base on an infield single. And this shows you here. Okay, there's the shortstop. He makes the play, but he doesn't come up with the ball, and boom, Simpson saw the opening, goes home right away. That was that. It was an incredible play, and it just shows you if you don't make the play cleanly, this guy is going to do things. You see his speed right there. The interesting thing about this play, besides just the sheer speed, was the instincts that Simpson showed. Once that ball got away, He was off. He saw the space. He saw the opening. Even though a stop sign was on, he saw that he could make it, and he did. The second play with Simpson yesterday was kind of a routine ground ball to the right side. The Yankees were playing in somewhat of a shift, and in this case, the shortstop Oswald Peraza got to the ball, but it didn't matter. It was a relatively routine play, but again, Chandler Simpson beat it out. Here's the ground ball. You see he's a left-handed hitter, so he's got that advantage to start with. You see Peraza get to the ball, no problem, and boom, Chandler Simpson beats this play, not easily, but he beats it. This is the kind of thing this guy can do. And what's so interesting about him, in this era of emphasis on exit velocity, when all players are measured, it seems, by how hard they can hit the ball. Even when a guy is slumping, well, he's hitting the ball hard. It's going to happen for him soon. In Chandler Simpson's case, it's better when he doesn't hit the ball hard. It's better when he hits these soft ground balls, mishits balls, gets off balance, and maybe doesn't necessarily do what he wants at the plate. But it's better that way because the fielders cannot catch up with him. Yesterday, he had 2 balls. He hit 95 miles an hour or above. Both were outs. Again, better off in the 80-mile-an-hour range or even less than that, whatever it takes. He's also an excellent bunter, which is a key skill for him given his speed. So people continue to ask, what can this guy be? I had someone tell me last week, someone I respect in the game, a scout. He said, well, if he's a one-WAR player, that'll be really good. 1 WAR is nothing. It's not much at all. It's barely contributing. I remember Keith Law saying when he rated Simpson, I don't know, about maybe a year ago, or maybe it was even this year. Keith said, I kind of find it hard to believe he's going to be a 0.5 WAR player, but we'll see. 0.5, again, barely above replacement. Chandler Simpson can be more than that. If he becomes a player who can hit 300 with, say, a 350 on base and a 350 slug, and a guy who is an average center fielder, he's got some work to do there. He's got speed, but he doesn't necessarily have the defensive instincts that he displays on the base paths. If he can be that guy, he's a dynamic player. And the other thing about him that is so fascinating, you can't measure all that he does by WAR or any other metric. What he does disrupts an opponent. He commands attention the moment he is in the box, the moment he is on base. He disrupts a pitcher in a way that other hitters simply cannot. He forces teams to throw more fastballs because if you throw a breaking ball, this guy's off. In Saturday's game, he stole second and third, coming off the bench, was a difference in that game as the Rays beat the Yankees as well. So Chandler Simpson, if he can keep this going, I'm not saying it's a certainty, it certainly is not, but if he can keep this going, he's going to be someone we're watching and we're having a lot of fun watching over the years. Is he a classic ball player for the year 2025? No, but that is what makes him so fun and so interesting. I'm a Chandler Simpson fan. I can't deny it. I love watching this guy play, and I look forward to watching this guy play as a player who will make an impact in the next several years. We'll be back after a quick word from our friends at Foul Territory.
If you want to be bougie and have your own personal shopper, Hungry Root is actually the spot, and you can do it at an affordable price.
Yeah, without a doubt. And especially with my busy schedule with kids on the run all the time, baseball, gymnastics, I need a source that's going to get me going and my kids as well. So I'll pop in an easy chicken parm or grilled chicken, put it in a nice container, get it to go, and the kids are excited, and they're full, and they're nutritional, and it's ready to rock for their games.
There will be snacks that you have never heard of that you will immediately fall in love with. They will pick them out for you if you want. Obviously, you can go on there. You pick all of your preferences. Hungry Root gets the job done. Okay, FT fam, we love Hungry Root. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life at hungryroot.com/FT. That's code FT. hungryroot.com/FT. Code FT for 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. The code is simple. It's 2 letters, FT.
Time now for Grillin Ken. Let's get to your questions. The first question comes from Mark Fowler, who asks, which is more likely, Aaron Judge wins the Triple Crown or hits over 400? I love these kinds of questions, Mark. Thank you. First of all, he's not hitting 400. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. As well as Aaron Judge is playing, as incredibly as he's performing, 400 is probably out of range, even though right now he's at 423. So then the question becomes, all right, what about the Triple Crown? First in home runs, first in batting average, first in RBIs. He's not leading each of those categories at this moment. He is leading in average, 423 batting average. But in home runs, he's actually second to Cal Raleigh. Raleigh has 12, Judge has 11. And in RBIs, he's tied with Teoscar Hernandez. Each has 33. Now, what is so intriguing about Judge's season is that last season, if you recall, he put together one of the greatest offensive seasons in Major League history, and yet the month of April was not very good for him. This year, he has started off absolutely on fire, and he has maintained that as we've gone into the month of May here. So the one thing I do think is possible for him is the triple crown, and that is batting average, on base percentage, and slug. He nearly won that last year. That's not really a thing, but it's certainly a measure. Last year, he was first in on-base percentage, first in slugging, and third in batting average. Bobby Witt Jr. was the league leader in batting average. I don't know that Judge will ever have a 350 batting average as good as he is, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see what kind of history he can make this season, because it sure seems like if he stays healthy, he's going to do some really special things. All right, the next question comes from Brett, who says, the Royals are now 17-0 when leading after 7 innings. That's pretty impressive, a testament to their bullpen. It's early still, but with their bats finally coming alive, how serious are they as contenders this year? Brett, that's a good question. And if you recall, in our opening segment, I showed you the top 5 in ERA right now, and the Royals were right there. The problem is scoring runs. And even after this weekend, when they played well against the Orioles, they're 28th in runs per game. 28th. That's third from the bottom. That has to change. Right now, their offense seems to be Bobby Witt, a little bit of Michael Garcia, a little bit of Salvador Perez. Pasquantino's been disappointing. They haven't gotten much. Their home runs, that's been a 0 until they hit those 7 solo shots the other day against Baltimore. So offensively, that's where they need help. And I don't know where it's going to come necessarily. The outfield would be the one obvious area. That's the one area where they have a clear need. But when I say I don't know where it's going to come, I mean as far as the deadline, which players they can add. I expect they will be aggressive. They have been aggressive since the start of 24, actually the 2023-24 offseason. That's when they went out and signed Lugo and Waka and did some really interesting things. They've continued to stay aggressive through the offseason and into the season. If you remember, they were a team that bid on Anthony Santander. Didn't get him, but it showed they were looking for that kind of player. They need one more middle of the order type at the very least. Otherwise, I don't see them as a strong contender. I do see them as a potential playoff team. And the final question comes, oh, look at this. The final question comes from Mark Carrig, who asks, what is the meaning of life? Now, Mark Carrig, for those who don't know who he might be, is a former baseball writer who now runs the baseball site at The Athletic. He is our boss. He's the main baseball editor. And Mark asks, what is the meaning of life? And I answered him in a text yesterday. I often tease Mark and some of our other editors about the editors taking writers' copy and kind of putting their hands all over it and changing words, hopefully not changing meaning, but doing things that actually most of the time improve the stories greatly. But we have fun talking about this. And I told Mark, the meaning of life is whatever the editors tell us it is. Because if I wrote a story saying, well, the meaning of life is this, the editor might say, nah, it's not really that. You might want to say this. And that's kind of how the process works. It's actually a great process. I will say this too. At The Athletic, the editing I've gotten has been the best of my career. And that's no slight to anybody who has edited me previously, but from the moment I joined in 2017, the editing has been incredible. And once in a while, there'll be a mistake in the copy and someone will say in the comments, don't you guys have editors? Yeah, mistakes happen. Mistakes like that get through. I'm talking about good editing, and writers know what I'm talking about here. Good editing is when an editor can maybe adjust the structure, can point to different things in the story that can be enhanced, sharpened, points that can be made better. That's what good editing is. Yes, good editing is also good copy editing. and catching those mistakes. And hopefully we don't make any, but they happen from time to time. So I don't know what the meaning of life is, Mark, but I'm sure if I write a story about that tomorrow, which I'm not going to do, you guys would have all kinds of input on what the meaning of life actually should be, not what Ken thinks it should be. I want to thank everyone for their questions, for watching, for listening. You know where to find us: YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Like us, subscribe to us, and join us again Thursday for our normal live show at 12:30 Eastern. It will be myself and Alana Rizzo. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the baseball.
Let's shout out the BetMGM First Bet $1,500 offer when you use the bonus code FOUL. Get that offer when you download the BetMGM Sportsbook app or at BetMGM.com. Sign up, enter that bonus code FOUL, and deposit at least $10 into your new account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.